All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome. We have been waiting for this moment. We are showcasing two-door Bronco ProRunner, codename Fat Panda. This thing is big, it's bad, it's tall, it's loaded with accessories, and we are filming from inside of our APG's composite shop. Guys, this is not only where we are filming, this is where we create, produce, and manufacture all of the parts that go on all of our Bronco builds. Take a look around. It's all laminated, hand laminated here inside of this shop. So I wanted to bring this two-door release to you where all the magic went down. It's got our APG long travel in the front, long travel in the rear, aftermarket bumpers, lights, custom paintwork, custom wrap. It's got our carbon fiber hood trim. It's just absolutely loaded with all the goodies that we have to offer on a two-door. So let's jump into the details on this two-door Bronco ProRunner. All right, like always, we start at a corner of the vehicle, we work our way around, talking about the details because details matter here at APG. Now, guys, I'm 6'4". I'm a big guy. This car is several inches taller than I am, just up to the hood line. It's big, but it drives well. We had to rework a lot of the suspension componentry, spring rates, shock valving, adjustments of the control arm. We had to really try to bring that gravity pull down because it's with that shorter wheelbase, we wanted to keep it just as stable as the four doors, or at least as much as we possibly could. So, looking at the front of the car, nothing about it is original. The entire front end has been completely refinished and redecorated. As always, we don't like the factory color grills. We pull the grills, we pull the decals, we accessorize them. We just try to dress them up for, not just for looks, but for function. These big heavy duty Baja designs, linkable light bars. Sometimes we put them up above the windshield, but that can create some wind noise. So get this down here on the bumper low. That's gonna keep that light beneath your visual field of view so you're not getting that light pollution. And of course the fog pocket kit housed in this new APG bumper corner. These are lightweight aluminum. They're colored to refinish and complement the factory bumper. And that's gonna give you that side clearance that we need for our body system. Now, in the rare event that you wanted more lights than that's already on it, there's tons of additional lighting options. But this particular build, we've got the Baja Designs XL Pro built up into the A-pillar, the linkable set, and the fog kit. It's also got some really neat underglow lighting, just to add some visual effects or a bit, illuminating the rocks if you want to go out wheeling at night. All right, guys, check this hood out, right? This is one of our newer products here. This is our carbon fiber hood trim kit. Now, we call it a hood trim kit because it is retrofitted into your factory hood, meaning factory hood latches, hinges, emission labels, safety release levers. We don't want to touch that. So while this hood trim kit looks factory original, it was actually installed into a factory hood. But it's not a general overlay. It's bonded and it's fully functional, meaning that any water that may collect in these drop louvers is going to drain on our lower trim kit, catch the water and drain it out intended factory drain ports. Now, because it's a performance hood, it means that it's gonna allow heat to escape and water to drain if it collects. Where the majority of aftermarket hood products are just, if they even allow water to drain, it's just gonna drain on top of your engine, which you have fuse boxes and sensitive electrical components. We didn't want that. So we collect the water and allow heat to escape. It's not just about looks, it is about performance, and we think we nailed both of those. Now you guys will see with these billet aluminum trim handles here, these add a beautiful two-tone accent to this overall assembly. You notice up front here, you've got these nice little LED forward-facing amber lights. Those look really trick at night. Now, because this is billet aluminum, we were able to tap these with M6 inserts. So let's say in the rare event you wanted to attach a GoPro or capture some footage on the trail, you can lock in and you can mount a camera here or lights or really whatever accessory that you had. Or it just looks great, and that's also okay. And these are fully customizable. I mean, you can refinish these in the factory color or gloss black or some sort of anodized beautiful aluminum. Really, it's whatever you prefer. What we decided to do was to refinish them in the factory color match, so you've got that transition in between the white, the carbon, and then the white again. And we think that looks really good. This hood trim is available as a standalone option if you don't want to build a complete vehicle with us. Just head to the website and pick it up. It's super easy to install. You can get it refinished and get it painted. It's a cool afternoon project with you and a friend, and it adds a lot to the car. All right, so in this location here, this is where the heat will actually escape from the engine compartment. These are raised louvers, so the heat's gonna rise up in this region, which is right on top of the general radiator. Now, because they're raised, water won't drain from those. Water's gonna collect on the entire perimeter and drain out the front under these factory drain ports. It's a fully functional, yet good-looking hood trim. We mainly designed it because we wanted a way to catch the water and escape the heat where your factory hood pad would not allow that. But because we're gonna do something, we're gonna make it look good. So we embossed an APG logo on it, made it out of carbon, and it looks great. And let's say you just happen to be someone who loves carbon, you can buy this lower hood trim kit and just pop out the pins and toss this thing in, it'll just look cool. All right, so the front APG long travel suspension system. The suspension componentry is 3.5 inches wider than stock. So that's gonna push your track width out without just wheel and tire. It's gonna push everything out 3.5 inches. Now with this suspension system set up with a 40-inch tall tire, we're still accomplishing 16 inches of usable, tuned wheel travel on a 40-inch tall tire. That's no easy feat. Reduce this down to a 37, similar to what you see on the Bronco Raptor, you're closer to 18.5 inches of travel. But you'll notice with the front bump stops, we have them set up, pushed down low to stop this tire from digging into some body structure up above. But there's still a lot of wheel travel and a lot of fun to have on a 40-inch tall tire. Now, that wheel travel is not just, it's not just about wheel travel. You need to get that travel valved specifically for your style of driving. And no better way to do that with quick adjustments on the fly of changing your compression adjusters. Me, when I'm out there, you see me in the videos, I'm driving hard, I'm driving fast. I'm closed out all the way. I've got my bypasses adjusted and we're jumping, we're launching on the whoop sections, we're hitting berms, we're driving hard. And that's what it's about. It's about having fun. And this car can handle that. It's not just a look vehicle, it's a high performance suspension system. All right, so we haven't really shown close-up shots of it, but we have an available fully machined adjustable sway bar arm. Now, the factory sway bar arm would dive straight into the bypasses. So you can keep your same sway bar arm if you only want to run a single shock system, but if you want to run a secondary bypass, we have to change the path of that arm and clock it up a little bit higher. With this suspension system and with the optional APG sway bar arm, you can run a 2.0 bump stop, 3.0 8-inch stroke primary coilover, a 3-tube bypass, and you can run your factory NI sway bar. That's a lot of things happening, and it is that precision engineering that allowed us to get all of that fit into one package. But of course, depending on your style of driving and how hard you're driving, you may not need all that. So this standard 3.0 coilover is really enough for 90% of people out there. So it's not just about long travel. You can run a big, heavy tire hard with our builds. In order to support that heavy rotational mass, we've got big, heavy-duty front axle differentials. We've got heavy-duty RCV race-grade CV axles with 300M internals, chrome ollie shafts. It is the strongest componentry available for the 6th generation Bronco. So it is not just about wheel travel, not just about looks. You need to have the strength behind propelling the vehicle. And there's the strongest componentry available on the market for the 6th generation Bronco on this vehicle right now. For this wheel and tire combination, we've got a 40-inch tall middle trail grappler mud terrain. It's a 13.5-inch wide tire sitting on a 17-inch KMC true beadlock wheel. This true beadlock is fantastic if you're gonna be going slow, aired down all the way to 5-6 PSI, climbing boulders, or just having that good peace of mind. So because it's the beadlock, we're able to remove the ring and refinish it in a color that's similar to the car. Well, you can also black it out, but this is how we kind of chose to two-tone the wheel following the color theme of the rest of the car. Our wheel and tire combination comes standard from KMC with dual port options. So you've got the factory valve that has a TPMS sensor attached to it. We always outfit them with some rapid deflator valves. When you're out there on the trail, you know, sometimes you want to air down for traction, or the majority of the time you want to air down for comfort. And there's no easier way to air down than these apex deflation valves. I mean, 10 seconds, I can air down from 40 to 10 PSI. They're super convenient. You don't have to pull out a secondary tool. So open it up, pop it out, let rapid air down, close it, close the valve, and you're aired down. All right, so front driver corner of the car. Now, the four-door Bronco ProRunner front end is, like I said earlier, is very similar. We have the plus 5-inch carbon fiber primary fender, which is refinished in a factory white. Now, something that we haven't showcased before is this new flare. We've always had the 1, the 3, and the 5 flare width options. We now have this ProRunner sitting on a 3-inch flare. The flare is gonna, as it sticks out further, it's gonna give you better tire coverage. that's for looks, but it also is going to reduce the amount of debris shooting rearward, mud and grime splashing on the side of the car. Now, if you drive in a lot of narrow trails, you may want a narrower body to help so you're not scraping up along things, but having a wider flare also looks better because you're showing more of this beautiful exposed carbon. Now, that may be your look, or the 1-inch flare may be your look. Or if you want the full tire coverage, go for the 5-inch flare. It's gonna completely cover, it's gonna sit completely flush with the sidewall of this 40-inch tall tire at the 12 o'clock position. And just like all of our flare options, they still have an improved approach angle and an improved departure angle for when you're coming up or leaving an obstacle, you're not gonna contact the body. All right, now just like the black pack that we gave the front grille, we also continued that on the rest of the vehicle. We've got the APG black pack mirror caps, we've got the door handles, and we've got the tailgate badges. That just, pulling off any of that factory plastic is really what we do. We don't want to leave any of that exposed, so getting those small details adds a lot to the finished look of the car. All right, guys, so check this out. The two-door needed something, so we wanted to have a little bit of fun with some graphics. At APG, we're not about big, loud, splashy cars. We like subtle details that are still fun and kind of pay a little bit of, a bit of respect to the brand. So we had this pretty cool side decal pack that's got the ProRunner badge sitting here on the side door. But check this out. Actually, this side is a desert theme. On the other side, it's mountain, just to kind of show you got the best of both worlds. So looking at the rear body system, you can see how the body lines flow continuously across. You can watch any of our videos. You can see how all of the gaps in the orientation of the panels is better than factory in a lot of ways. Now, these panels are strong, right? Our body system is strong. We don't have flex or movement. We don't have heavy gel-coated fiberglass body systems that are gonna crack or peel or warp in the sun. We make our body panels here in-house the same way a supercar manufacturer makes their parts. We make them this way because we want them to last. We make them that way because we don't want the customer to have to fix our product. Body shop should not have to carve and sculpt and recreate the product. And two-door Bronco ProRunner is another example of that precision engineering and manufacturing into all of our componentry. And just look at the two-door body system. Everything flows. We've got a correct amount of bulge. It is a two-piece component system, so the flares are interchangeable. And an area that we also did not skip out on is the fuel door. It's a fully functional factory fuel door. We didn't kind of concave it, or we didn't put a body line that was out of place. These are 3D printed, high temp SLS print, and it clicks onto your door the same way your factory door would. And of course, it's refinished in the same color as the rest of the car. And it just kind of flows beautifully. All right, guys, now jumping into the rear suspension of Bronco ProRunner two-door. So knowing that we have such heavy tires, how we choose to build our cars, we needed a suitable rear heavy-duty drivetrain that can handle that. The majority of the time when you're ripping hard, you're ripping heavy, you are in two-wheel drive and you're climbing up, you're bumping up boulders or whatever you're doing. This has got an ultimate Dana 60 heavy-duty rear axle. That rear axle is 7 inches wider than stock. It's got a larger tube diameter, bigger, stronger ring and pinion. It's got better bracketry, internal bearings, bigger wall, thicker wall steel tubes. Everything about this axle is heavy duty. It's suitable and it can accommodate the heavier tire size. We actually have the only true long travel rear suspension for the 6th generation Bronco. One of the challenges we had to overcome with 4-door and 2-door was how do you get more wheel travel in the back with factory position shock towers? Now, we didn't want to tub the vehicle. We also didn't want to use the factory shock mount because the only way we would have been able to get more travel is to put a longer shock in a factory location, and that would have stood the car way high up in the air. So we completely moved the shock tower, raised it up, and since we're wider than the factory axle, we were able to fit the shock mount way up high and kind of lean that backwards. So we've got a 14-inch long coilover in the back. Just like the front, it's a 3-inch diameter shock, it's got internal bypass, and it has a bolt option for a secondary 3-tube bypass. In order to get this axle cycling better than the factory control arms, the kind of link geometry, we moved the lower links and extended them way forward. It's gonna make the axle cycle more vertically. It's not going to rock forward as the control arm hits that center point. And keeping the axle cycling vertically up and down is just, you have more control out there on the trail and on the street. Now, because we have such a heavy duty rear axle and heavy duty tires and all this rotating mass, we also throw a 1350 double carbon heavy duty drive shaft in the back. That's gonna allow for those extreme drive shaft angles, and it's not gonna be a weak link in your vehicle. We don't think this even has a weak link right now. We've been unable to break it so far. All right, now we're on to the back of the car. Now, one of the first things you'll notice about a lot of our builds is you'll see a pretty big tip on that AWE custom exhaust. We know that's not ideal for rock crawling or off-roading, but it looks great. But it's okay because the exhaust system comes with both tip options. You turn a screw, you pull the tip off, and it's got this beautiful basher tip on there. That's tucked up high out of the way, and the rear exhaust is essential for these builds because we have that rear winch in there. That rear winch takes up that factory exhaust, factory muffler location. So we had to move the muffler further up the pipe and reroute that tail end section. So, after, kind of getting past the exhaust, similar rear bumper setup, 143-pound wheel and tire combination, the true KMC bead lock. We know we can't put that on the factory tailgate, so we've got our Expedition 1 APG combo rear bumper system that's got the swing out, that's gonna support the weight of this heavy tire, even when you're off-roading. My favorite part about this rear bumper system is that it is a single stage system. Grab the handle and function like a normal tailgate. And it's straightforward, just like a factory tailgate. But again, it has that pivot unit out there on the passenger side that's gonna support the primary load of the car. Rear bumper system, very similar setup. We've got the Baja Design Squadron diffused lights built into the bottom. We've got the RTL Mini Chase Light, which has all those different lighting features. You can see I just opened and closed it. We've got that running light currently illuminated, it just kind of shut off. But it's got some switch controls inside. You can turn it into a chase light if you're off-roading and you're picking up dust. That's really all that's going on back here, but you can see, if the angle can get it, you can see this has our M8 Warn winch built into the rear bumper system. So with our rear winch setup, this is where we decided to place it. It's tucked up out of the way. The winch plate itself acts as a rear frame reinforcement. It acts as a skid plate. You're not going to beat it up. And while we know that a front winch would be ideal in a lot of other situations, this is where we decided to place it. Guys, there is no good place for a winch in the front. People have tried, it doesn't work, especially on the bigger motor option. You've got all sorts of cooling componentry up there. So bumper manufacturers are always left with putting the winch in front of all of that, which sticks out like a sore thumb. It's heavy, it's obnoxious, it bogs down the front suspension. We don't like it. But if you happen to want an aftermarket front bumper that has a winch, we can source it through one of the many great bumper manufacturers out there. But if you want a winch for the rare situations and you don't want it to be seen or you don't want it in the way, this is the best option there is. All right, guys, now this is our first Bronco two-door ProRunner build, but we've got a lot more in the pipeline coming. Now, if you are a DIY builder or you're across the country and you don't want to send your car to us, know that all ProRunner componentry four-door and now two-door is available here on the website for immediate purchase. If you guys like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button and we'll see you on the next one.